We're back today. We're going to be focusing on the VAK rapid induction that you can use in self-hypnosis. Now, this is by far one of the most powerful self-hypnosis inductions that I have used. And I use it, this is my main go-to when I'm doing any kind of change work, and I really need to go deep and I have time to do it. Now, it's not a very long induction, but it's VAK, stands for visual, auditory, and kinetic. It's going to use all three representation systems to basically bombard the conscious mind. And then once we're kind of at max load, where we have all this stuff going on, we basically make the induction suggestion, which is drop into trance now. And it's like pausing, drop into trance now. That is the key to really getting that to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to close our eyes. We're going to focus on the pixelation that we see. So I'm not asking you to visualize anything. You're actually looking. And you're going to be looking at the pixelation and kind of like the patterns that you see when you close your eyes. So you're going to really focus on that visually. Then number two, you're going to move into the auditory. So you're going to be taking a breath, about I would say about a 4-second inhale, depending on how big you can go. And you want to breathe from the belly up. So you want to fill up so that your stomach goes out, right? And then you're going to take about a 6 to 8 second exhale. And I find kind of using weird numbers like 4 and 6 or 4 and 8 as opposed to like 5 and 10. For some reason, it just makes you have to focus more, because as your mind kind of drifts, you'll just keep counting. Because you'll want to go to like 10 or 20, because those are kind of numbers that we normally count to when we're doing stuff like this. So for this, we're going to just focus on the auditory is counting the inhales and the exhale. Then for the kinetic, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the hand. So the hand will be comfortably on your lap. It doesn't matter which hand you use, but you're going to start with the index finger as 1. So you'll say 1, and then what we're wanting to happen and willing to happen, making happen, is that we're going to make that finger go numb. So it will go numb, and you don't move on to the next finger until you achieve numbness. And the more numbness, the better. So you wait till you feel that. So you say 1, and then the intention and the will is that the finger go numb, and so it will. And then you move on to the middle finger, the ring finger. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, ending on 5. And then you say whole hand numb, and you'll feel that go really numb. As that happens, then you're going to go ahead and you're going to disassociate from yourself and from your hand. So you're going to say, notice the difference between that hand and the other hand. Notice the difference between that hand and your left foot. Notice the difference between that hand and your right foot. Now, notice how simple and easy it is to drop into trance. Now, boom, and you drop into trance. That is the VAK self-hypnosis rapid induction. And like I said, it is a very powerful induction. You can add deepeners to that, like the eye fractionations. Usually I find I go so deep from basically just that whole process of bypassing the critical factor with all three representation systems that I end up in a really deep trance, and I can maybe do 3 eye fractionations until my eyes are just sealed shut. They just lock down. I can't open them. I'm sitting there going, ah, ah. So that is something you can do as a deepener. And, again, the universal deepener, that's right, or just like that. And then the other thing is, with every breath that I take, I go deeper and deeper into trance, into this beautiful state of being. That's kind of how you want to start to talk to your unconscious mind. And again, the more you involve bombarding the conscious mind, VAK, so basically Dr. Miller says, some of the studies that he's done, and there's a lot of controversy around this, but basically the conscious mind can process roughly 7 processes per second. And depending on the representation system that you kind of live in, we'll get more into that later. But the unconscious mind is millions. So we want to do our work from the unconscious because that is where all our resources are. That is where we can pull kind of that, what I call our knowing self. That is our knowing self. In the conscious mind, we're trying to think and guess. When we're in our conscious mind and we're in that state, that altered state, we're in our knowing. And from a place of knowing, that is a powerful resource. So use the VAK rapid induction for self-hypnosis, and we'll get into more. Check out my next video because I'm going to kind of wrap this whole series up on rapid inductions and what exercises you can do in your daily practice to really develop these techniques. And it's going to be imperative for all the work and the things that I'm going to be teaching about setting anchors and being able to change your state for very specific purposes, right? For performance, for maybe working through some behavior change, working through addiction, phobias, different things like that. So there's different states that we're going to want to use that are more powerful for dealing with different aspects of ourself. And really the whole point of why we're here on this earth is to know thyself. And so once you know thyself and you learn to you start to understand that you are in control of your reality, that you need to take control of the aspects of your reality, then you can actually enjoy life and have pleasure in your life. And that is the key behind everything. That is every religious, true religious teaching, right? Jesus talked about the kingdom of heaven is within, that you are abundant. These are the types of things that are reality. Alchemy talks about transmuting lead to gold, right? Going up in your state of being from this kind of heavy, unpurified version of thoughts into these crystalline, beautiful, golden thoughts of knowing, of being in that place. And so that's the reason why we're learning this stuff, so that we can start to really live in that place of pleasure, of control, of controlling what we can, which is ourselves, right? When we learn to do that, we step out of victimhood, we step out of, I just have such bad luck, and we start creating the energy that we need and the mindset that we need, that the unconscious mind will start looking for those opportunities and those things to bring success. If you're feeding your unconscious mind with fear, doubt, scarcity, and all these things, then it looks for those things to confirm that to you, right? That's all it's happening. That's your reticulating activator. It's basically when you are thinking about getting a car and you're researching it, all of a sudden you see that car everywhere. Or if you're getting into some new hobby, woodworking, all of a sudden you notice grains and all that stuff on everything, right? You start to pay attention to the types of wood and things like that, because you've created enough emotion and enough of the VAK system, right? That now your unconscious mind believes, hey, this is what he wants. And so just saying something doesn't make it so. Being congruent with something, right? In other words, the more emotion you have in it, the more you can see it, feel it, be it, the sooner your unconscious mind will realize that's who you are as well. And it'll bring the confirmation of that to your life. That is manifestation. And really, it's all here, right? It's not some magic that you're doing outside of yourself. It is transmutation. It is converting, right, or transmuting lead to gold, but it is you that you're doing that to. So we'll get more into that. But anyways, use the VAK. Let me know in the comments how it's working for you, and we'll get into really utilizing this whole series to maximum benefit. All right, have a great day.